17th of February 2024, the day that we will come back, the MTN Super League, for we've been waiting for it, and it's here. And there are a lot of exciting games that are being played today, and some good news over the week where we saw our very own Rachel Kundananje breaking the record by becoming the most expensive female player. This is Off the Pitch, the show that comes your way every Saturday, and I'm your host Amos, aka Amore, and I'm not alone on set. As always, I'm with one Augustine. Augustine, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much, Amos. It's always a pleasure to be here, and we turn all the glory and honor to the Most High God. It's been a very good week in terms of Zambian football women, actually, because we saw our very own Diana Chikotesha becoming the first ever woman to officiate at the AFCON finals. And then just a few days later, we got the news that Rachel Kundananje has moved to Bay FC in the United States, and she's now the most expensive female footballer in the world, more expensive than Aitan Bonmati, the Ballon d'Or winner. So you could see that this is a player that has always been developing, and she's going to be playing now with the Assad Oshawal. I think that's massive for Rachel Kundananje. And what the AFCON final we had, I think a massive congratulations to the callers that called in last week. We had that caller who called in.
The one who predicted the score line.
Ivory Coast are going to carry the day, and eventually went on to win the AFCON. We would love that caller to call in again and just speak about the AFCON. And the great elephant as well got the prediction spot on. Congratulations to Esanjo for getting that prediction correctly. It was a good final, and it was a very, very good fairy tale in the sense that you look at Sebastian Haller, where he's come from, and to reach that stage. I think you remember he was at West Ham, Sebastian Haller. It didn't work out for him, and then in 2021, age 26, he moved to Ajax Amsterdam, and that's where it started to happen for him. Became the first player to score 4 goals in one single game in the Champions League for Ajax, and then he went on to equal Ronaldo's tally by scoring in all the group games in the UEFA Champions League. That very season, he was the first player to get to 10 goals, the fastest to get to 10 goals in the UEFA Champions League, Sebastian Haller, in one season. And then he went on to win the Dutch League with Ajax, and in the following season again he won the Dutch League and won the top scorers award. He then moved to Borussia Dortmund, and then that sad news that he had testicular cancer, which was it looked like it was the end for Sebastian Haller when it comes to football. But fast forward February 12th, he scored his on World Cancer Day. That's when he scored his first goal for Borussia Dortmund, and now he has come to Africa Cup, to the AFCON, and led Ivory Coast to glory. I think it's just one of those stories that are very much amazing when it comes to football. And congratulations to Cote d'Ivoire for being crowned the champions of Africa. MS Faye, a caretaker coach, stepped into the big shoes that were left behind by the previous coach, and then he's led them to this AFCON triumph.
It's something that you never expected, Augustine, and something that you never wanted to happen.
Yeah, I think
you really never wanted the Ivory Coast to carry the day.
Okay, starting when the tournament started, I had thought Ivory Coast was one of the favorites because they were the hosts, but the fact that they got in through the back door because of Zambia, it's the reason why I didn't want their opponents. The way they supported Morocco on that particular day, I think Morocco will be sitting back and saying, we just let these guys go through and then win the entire thing. So you could see, I think if Zambia could have gotten something from that game against Morocco, a draw, it could have been the end for Cote d'Ivoire. That's the reason why I never wanted Ivory Coast to go this far because they had already messed it up in the game against.
You say to Augustine, life when you are given a second chance, you have to utilize it.
Yeah, and they did just that, and they were playing like ghosts, like Frank Casey said, we are playing like ghosts. We have no fear, and they showed that, and you could see that top players like Max Guardiola, he was there in 2012. Lost the final to Zambia, then won the one in 2015, and eventually equaling Nigeria's record by beating them in the final. And Nigeria is one of the teams that have played so much finals but haven't won them a lot. They've lost a lot of finals, Nigeria. It's one thing is that this team that we saw at the Africa Cup of Nations, the 4 teams that were in the semi-finals, I doubt if we will see them in the next Africa Cup reaching the semi-finals because you remember the round of 8. None of these teams were in the round of 8 in the previous tournament. So the AFCON keeps producing surprises and it keeps growing every year.
Those are just some of a bit of the highlights that happened at the AFCON, and congratulations to the Ivory Coast for managing to beat Nigeria, something that a lot of people predicted. But anyway, for now, we'll just take a very short break as we get back and discuss more in terms of the Rachel Kundananji transfer and the games that are being played today that's in the MTN Super League. For now, let's just take a short break.
My name is Christopher Adam. Continue watching Off the Pitch on Camnet TV.
Get all the latest updates in court news only on Camnet TV. We take you and make you feel part of the court sessions through our in-depth coverage of the adjudication process. Get informed on those who have been arrested, delayed and denied the police bond or bail victims, persons taking plea, court adjournments, verdicts, and those administration issues in the judiciary. Camnet TV is on channel 274 on DSTV, channel 25 on GoTV, and find us on channel 106 on Topstar. You can also follow and give us a like on our social media platforms. Camnet TV, not just another channel.
Hey, join me, Amazing Katamanda, on the weekly gospel show for those exciting and interesting interviews with your favorite gospel
Hold on to me when it's too dark to see. You cannot put your power back to war.
Hallelujah.
And this time around, we are bringing to you entertainment news and the countdown, as you guys are able to nominate your top 3 favorite music videos of the week. Remember, it's every Saturday at 10:45. You can also catch repeats every Monday at 10 hours. Camnet TV is not just another time. Hey, join me, Amazing Katamanda, on the weekly gospel show for those exciting and interesting interviews with your favorite gospel
Hold on to me when it's too dark to see. You cannot put your power back to war.
Hallelujah.
And this time around, we are bringing to you entertainment news and the countdown, as you guys are able to nominate your top 3 favorite music videos of the week. Remember, it's every Saturday at 10:45. You can also catch repeats every Monday at 10 hours. Camnet TV is not just another time. Hey, join me, Amazing Katamanda, on the weekly gospel show for those exciting and interesting interviews with your favorite gospel
Hold on to me when it's too dark to see. You cannot put your power back to war.
Hallelujah.
And this time around, we are bringing to you entertainment news and the counter, as you guys are able to nominate your top 3 favorite music videos of the week. Remember, it's every Saturday at 10:45. You can also catch repeats every Monday at 10 hours. Camnet TV is not just another time. It's time! Camnet TV brings to you an exciting kids show called My Creation. Join me, Sarah Chandamagazagia, to interact with kids with special skills and talents between the age range of 9 to 17. This show will come to you every Saturday at 13:30 on Camnet TV, not just another channel.
I'm given Singuruma. Continue watching Off the Pitch on Camnet TV every Saturday.
It's good to have our very own back who went to do some works at the AFCON. Welcome back.
Thank you very much, Amos, and to our dear viewers, it's good to be back on your screens, and a very, very good Saturday morning. It is a very, very good sporting weekend, and congratulations to the Ivory Coast. I was actually watching the first few opening remarks from Augustine, well analyzed, and I think Ivory Coast did a good job, and to see where they were coming from, I think they had a very big scare in the group stages where they quickly had to bounce back after that horrendous support of Morocco did them tricks to make sure that Zambia didn't see the last cut of the last 16, and I think it was a well fought final against the Nigerians.
And something that Augustine was saying was the fact that there are 2 teams that he never wanted to progress. There was South Africa and Ivory Coast. Ivory Coast, due to the fact that they were supporting Morocco in our game. But was it the prediction that you saw coming on Rapson to say Ivory Coast are going to carry the day?
Very difficult circumstances, especially if you watch them in the group stages. I was very disappointed for them to get to a stage where you must be praying and hoping. You know, they went through a phase where I think we are more experienced in that phase as Zambia, where we use a lot of calculators, a lot of permutations to make sure that you win. That's how Ivory Coast went through. But I think in the back end, even in the wake of dismissing the coach, I think the players responded very, very well. Because very few coaches, remember, there were rumors that they were trying to consult Hevrena to help them in the process. But I think the assistant coach who took over went in, and at that point I'm sure the motivation was, guys, we've already lost in the group stages, feel free, enjoy yourselves, just wherever we go, wherever we reach, we are proud of ourselves because we already got off. But I'm sure it was more to do with psyching the players to see whether they can respond and just get to that competitive nature which won them the cup. I think it was for me, I was not anticipating that they would get that far. And for South Africans, at some point had a lot of hope. Simply because that unit, I think if not 80% of the players are all from Mamelodi Sundowns. So they really play together.
Representing South Africa.
They really play together, they know how to move. Because even if you added Pesitao to the numbers, he was also their former player. I think the gelling of that team is what pushed them that far, and for me, for them to come out in that respectable position, getting back home with a bronze, I think it was a well fought battle for South Africans. Of course, in the beginning, when you look at paper, of course everybody was fancying the semi-finalists at some point at the World Cup, Morocco, to break through and get to the finals, but things don't work out like that. History is not like that. We saw how Cape Verde started very strongly. They crumbled along the way, and I think they did a good job. They accounted for themselves very well in that tournament. And to say I fancied South Africa to proceed to the finals, the answer is no.
Augusta, would you take the permanent job if it was offered as a caretaker that we saw from the Ivorians? He did a good job, but let's say a permanent contract is given to you.
I think the Ivorian FA will be under a lot of pressure to offer MS5 a new contract because they brought in Luis Garcia to try and lead this team to glory as the host of the Africa Cup of Nations. But the fact is that yes, Garcia was very experienced, but he never coached in Africa. That's something which was a big problem coming into this tournament. Probably his anticipation with what he came to see at this particular tournament was very different. And going into what MS Fire has done for Ivory Coast, probably he has to be given another chance because they've got short time for the honeymoon period. You know that the qualifiers are around the corner. They'll need to start to try and find their way to Morocco again, and then next year you are back in Morocco. It's one of those short-lived glories like Zambia in 2012, where you are just going to be champions just for
a few months.
Yeah, a few months. So we have to go again in Morocco, where it's going to be very difficult for the Ivorians because now everyone knows that they want to beat the Ivorians. What MS5 did, I think, tactically, it wasn't that he made a lot of changes, just kept it simple. Stick to the basics, because if you look at their midfield base, the way they are playing in the first 3 group games, where they just won 1 and lost 2, conceding 5 goals and only scoring 2 goals. The problem was that they didn't have someone who can just sit in front of the back four and destroy. And you saw that they were playing Ibrahim Sangare, Seko Fofana, and Frank Casey in the first 3 group games. But immediately when MS5 realized that when we qualified, we need to have a bit of a balance, which they didn't have in the group stage. They brought in Jean-Michel Seri to be the guy that will sit in front of the back four and probably start with Seko Fofana and it's either Ibrahim Sangare or Frank Casey. And they started they started getting the balance right, Ivory Coast. And then they brought in the experience of Max Biedo. And then the fact is that they were going to this tournament without Sebastian Hala. He was injured in the first 3 games. He wasn't fit to start. Same applies to Samuel Dingla, one of their promising young talent. He was going into this big tournament as one of those star boys, but he came to this tournament injured. So you see that there were a lot of problems with Ivory Coast, with key players being injured, other key players out of form, because you have to know that the 2 guys that are in central midfield, in Frank Casey and Seko Fofana, they play in the Saudi League. The intensity is not similar to Europe, so you have to know that they have to grow into the tournament. They have to get their fitness levels up there, and he did very well. He kept it simple, and then started grinding out the results. He gave the players a lot of freedom, and then made them realize that we have been given another opportunity. We shouldn't disappoint these fans. We should just go out there and just give it everything. And they did just that. The Elephants. It was a very good tournament, and disappointingly, I think Congo, they could have finished it in a game against South Africa. They had the better chances. Similar to the game against Cape Verde, South Africa are a very lucky team. The best game they played, Bafana, was the game against Morocco. That was when I would say that South Africa was the better team. They dominated Morocco in many areas and dominated the both boxes, which saw them beat Morocco. The difference from Morocco is that at the World Cup, Morocco were going into games as underdogs. But at this particular Cup of Nations, they were going into the games as favorites. Yes, so it was now down to them to break down teams. Do they have that? And we saw that they couldn't break down teams. Even I think the best performance was the game against Tanzania. That's when they looked really top class. The game against Congo, it could have gone either way.
In fact, the Congolese had
better chances.
A lot of chances in that game.
They missed the penalty in that encounter, right? Yes. So you could see that they were not top-notch, Morocco. In a game against Zambia, we gave them far too much respect, in my own opinion. If you didn't give them that much-needed respect, you could have gotten something out of that encounter and probably progressed, and Ivory Coast would have been home.
Some exciting news, Augustine. Our players after the AFCON, we saw Patson Daga going straight into the starting 11, but some news is that Miguel Chaiwa moved on loan away from young boys. Angorapson, we saw how he performed in the last 2 games that he was given a chance to play, how his performance was, but he opted to go for a loan move away from young boys to find game time.
Well, for me that is it's a great move. He's a good player. We saw him when he was given an opportunity to start in that game. He played very well. He's one player who was making those runs and turns in the middle of the back, but his move away from young boys, I think, is a very big blessing to him, because at young boys, they are looking at him as a young boy, and then they are keeping him for the future which is probably 2 years from now.
3 years.
But at the same time, this is a young ambitious boy who wants to be playing every minute of the game. And I was a little bit disappointed the team that he has gone to. It's in the second tier, and to get to the second tier from that top notch, I think he should have just gone to an average, a mid-to-table team. It would have been okay. But he's gone to a league where probably you and I will not even read or watch him to see how he's performing. We'll probably be reading on Facebook to see what is happening there. But clearly, I think for me it's a great move. Let him get game time in the last few games of the season, and probably the impact that he is likely to make at the club where he's going. Young boys might just turn back and say come back in the summer as we prepare for the next season so that he can continue. But clearly, it's a very, very good move if you ask me. What he needs is game time. He's a very, very talented player.
Okay, yeah, I think just like Corruption I said, I think it's all about game time for young Mugiocha. Remember, this is a boy that came straight from Division 1 here and straight to a European team. I think you rarely see that in Zambian football. He never played in the Premier League, he never played in the National League, because when he was at Atletico Lusaka, he was still campaigning in Division 1. And you would see that it was the season where he was captain for Chamel, moved to Atletico Lusaka, and then they moved to Young Boys. He went into a Swiss Giants. Those are Swiss Giants, Young Boys, if you look at their pedigree. And then they went on to win the UEFA Champions League, the Premier League, which allowed them for them to participate in the UEFA Champions League. And he got some game time in the UEFA Champions League. He played against the likes of Man City, Red Star Belgrade, and RB Leipzig in the Champions League. That's a very, very good experience if you ask me. But you could see that what these young boys are looking at is a long-term project with this young boy, because they realize they rate him very, very highly. But at this particular time, he won't be getting the much-needed game time that will help him improve and become a better player. What they've done is that they've sent him to a sister club, which is more of a feeder. We've seen that with Riterif and Red Bull Salzburg. What happened with Patson Dak and Dino during that time. The reason why they've taken him to a sister club is that they want to be monitoring very well, because you'll be monitored, and they are sure
the philosophy is the same.
Yeah, they are sure he's going to get game time where he's going, and it will just help him improve and get to understand what's needed at the top level when it comes to European football. And it's very, very good for him, because we went to the Africa Cup of Nations with a lot of players that were not seeing game time. One was Klins Kangwa. He was struggling for game time at his club, in Crvena Zvezda in Serbia, but now he's moved to Belgium. He is poised to make his debut this weekend. It will give him at least another game time. Yes, he's going to a team which is struggling in the Belgium league. They are in the relegation zone. If he does very well, he might go back to Crvena Zvezda, get game time, or probably another European team might just poach him. So it's good for our boys that they are getting these moves and then progressing.
Richo Kundananji breaking records, Augustine.
Yeah, I think Richo Kundananji, you look at what he has done for Madrid during his time that he has been there. You remember he was just is the second top scorer from Hermoso, who was scoring goals for fun in the Spanish La Liga. And for her to end this big move and become the most expensive female footballer in the world, I think it's very, very huge for a young Richo Kundananji. She's going to be playing against alongside Asat Oshawara in America. Very, very good league. A lot of people have questioned why is she
how competitive is it?
The American league is very, very competitive. It's very, very competitive. It's a reason why you see America is winning a lot of FIFA World Cups. Why is it that teams in Europe who have got strong leagues are not winning the FIFA World Cup? America has won it a number of times, and corruption is signaling to me because of the cash. Yes, I think everyone will do this for the cash. It's always work for money.
It's like the way the Saudi Arabian league is going to turn out in the next couple of years when it's well established.
But if you look at the fact is that if you rate the women's league, USA is up there, very, very much up there than most of these European leagues when it comes to women's.
Well, yeah, for sure, that is very correct, because it's actually a true reflection of how the US women's team also turns out to be very, very competitive when it comes to European competitions. I'm sure even what's the name of that captain from, I think he once played for Bay, the same team where
the US captain.
The US captain there. I think for me, it's a team. It's an ambitious team with probably very good investors, very good investors. Because we are not going to go and get 2 top strikers in Spain and move them to US in one team. And that combination, I only hope that it will work, because it could be an issue of Jamie Vardy and Patson Daka in one team. It cannot happen. So probably even the African Woman Player of the Year and Kundananji, our very own there, being in the same team, playing in the same position. Of course, Kundananji will have an upper hand because she's a bulldozer at one. She manages to find a way in the midst of defenders and slots balls in the back of the net. And I'm sure even the value that has been put on her head, the only thing I would ask the young lady is let her remain focused, because
it comes with pressure.
Money.
Yeah.
Money is not something to play with. Because you see, the first thing that you need to understand is the value that has been placed on Kundananji is too high.
Yeah.
Of course, she deserves it. It's too high. So when you sit back, the first thing you need to know is, how do I pay back? Your only paying back is on the pitch. That's pressure enough for you to perform.
And expectation is high.
Expectation is high, yeah.
Very high. Because the week in, week out, everybody is looking at you to say, she's going to lift us to get to a stage where we have to win. All the games will be shouldering on Kundananji, but I'm sure she's equal to the task. She's shown that a couple of times, even in Spain. She's shown that a couple of times when she comes to the national team back home here. And I think she will not struggle in any way against the weaker ladies in defenders that are there in America.
Augustine can deny that.
It's a very tough league, because you've got Africa's best right back in Michelle Alozi. She plays in the USA.
Yeah,
It speaks volume. So you could see that Kundananji, she has to up her game, because that's a different level altogether. The American League, it has produced a lot of top quality players. Hope Solo is one of those that have come through the American League and shined at the biggest stage in terms of world football. Megan Goody is another top player coming through that league. So it's a league that has got a lot of top players that have played in.
She wanted to get close to Messi.
Yes. And because she breaks the record, because she's the first African to have broken the world record in terms of transfer fee, being the most expensive, the first African, not just Zambian but African.
And that's history set by Rachel Kundananji, and we're hoping for the best as she plays in the MLS League, that's the women's league, as at Bay FC. But let's not forget, our very own MTN Super League is back, and as you've seen, Ango Rapson is already donning Enghana jerseys. They are hoping to pick up maximum points today against Muza. But Ango Rapson, that look. But anyway, for those who are in Lusaka, we've got a double header that's at Imboila Stadium. We've got the first game that is being played, that's Napsa Stars hosting Kawe Warriors, and the next game, the second game will be Kwazi hosting Green Buffaloes. But for now, we'll start with the Napsa Stars versus Kawe Warriors. I think Angorapso, the last time we spoke of Napsa was that period where they were struggling a bit. They couldn't even make the full team. Like they would have only maybe 2 or 3 players on the bench.
No, they've never been in that state. They've never been in that state. They've always been a full team, except there was a game which was very controversial.
Yeah.
I think the handling of the players delayed, and we could see that as late as Friday. There were a lot of uncertainties in their last game where they needed to put 1 or 2 things together after the contracts had expired for most of the players, including Captain Lukabanda. He was
Dixon Japa contracts.
Yeah, I think they were like 6-7 players. They were in that situation, and they managed to twist it around, and there we are. But of course, we saw the departure of Austin Banda. Is going to Nkana. Sondaga Bembo has left his plying his trade in Mozambique. And they've also got new players that have come in, and hopefully they'll make a difference this afternoon. But on the other end as well, Cabo Warriors wasn't sleeping in this 1 month. They managed to find the experienced Kabaso Chong. Remember that small, like a double foot he did that Heroes. He's back in our league. He's back. That should be a very good buy from Cabo Warriors, and I'm sure Numba Mamba has done everything possible in that space to make sure that Kabaso Chongo gives them value this afternoon as they face the pensioners. It's a very tough game if you ask me, and I'm sure that is a game that I'll be covering this afternoon, just to make sure that
you cover that.
It doesn't do what it did for us at Stadium, and I'm sure NAPSA Stars, they are sitting just a notch above Nkana Football Club, and it's very tricky in that zone. That zone is very dangerous if you ask me. To get out of it, you need to be very consistent, and I think the break did a lot of good to all the teams. They needed that 1 month break so that they just prepare and reorganize. The last 18 games of this particular season will be very interesting if you ask me.
The break didn't do good to Red Arrows because Red Arrows were on top form.
No. I was talking about those who are down there.
As escalated, they've been slowed down. It was good for you fighting relegation.
But that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah,
NAPSA Stars and Nkana, they are like this.
For the teams that are fighting to stay in the league,
they needed to rest from losses. How can you be losing consistently? You need to rest, go and reflect, and come back strong. And ask me where our reflection was. Our favorite Mfurira Boat Club. That is where Ghana went to do the. Of course, there's been a couple of buys. We've got Idris Lungambombo is back at Ghana.
Landlord is back.
That's just for
landlord is
just
back
to win back the fans. The signing of Sate Kampamba. I would be surprised if he scores 5 goals between now and the season. I would be very surprised.
This in 5 for the next year.
I think probably Idris Mbombo is one of those signings that will get Ghana over the line. He's a proven goal scorer and
he's been performing very well.
Very well. And this one big signing was Chitoshi Chinga for me. I think that's a big steal by Ghana to get Chitoshi Chinga from Forest Rangers and bring him into that kind of team. I think we have always pointed out how they'll be struggling in central midfield. They looked very open in many games. What Chitoshi Chinga brings is that he will protect the back four very well. He dictates the tempo of the game, and he can play as a centre half. If you do not have centre backs, he can go and sit in as a centre back. Or still now, he will be given chance at Ghana to prove himself, playing for one of the big, if not the biggest team in Zambian football. So there's a lot of responsibility that comes with playing Ghana. You could see that the young players that are playing the first half of the season, they're really struggling.
Yeah, I think Chitoshi Chinga is going to provide the much needed protection of the back four, and where he will be sitting there, I think Stefan Chulu was also quite good in his own right. But there comes a time when, even when you are good, but the team keeps on conceding, changes are inevitable. Take a rest, take a back step. Let's try another guy to do 1 or 2 things. We've seen the coming in of Mongandala. When you look at our goalkeeping department, most of the goals that we've been conceding, partly very contributed by our very own goalkeeper. So the coming in of Mongandala,
especially Mangan Banda.
I know he's money, so we refrain from commenting so much. Lost their mother, and our deepest condolences to Mangani and Philip. They lost their mother, and both are goalkeepers. One is at Nkana, one is at NAPSA, and they are all in the relegation zone.
And you will see that there are a lot of jokes that go around Zambian football, and one that I saw was one weird transfer I've never seen in my time that I've been covering football. This week, Piston Banda signs for Concordia Places and unveiled. He hosts the jersey like they usually do. The following week, he's at FC Musa. And he's facing Ghana, poised to make his debut. He didn't play a game for Concordia Places. He's going poised to make his debut against Ghana. Wow.
I think for me that's just desperation by these players, and the managers that handle these players. I think they are not doing a good job. They need to up their game. They need to be very serious. They need to be very focused. When a decision is made and you accept the decision and you move on. I think it was a situation where you are trying your luck here and trying your luck here, and then you're looking at the deadline. The deadline is coming. A decision has to be made. Plan A is this one, is delaying. Plan B gives you an opportunity to say you come, and then you've got a couple of hours before the window closes. You go and get unveiled this side. On the other hand, these guys, I think your offer, you can come through here. And then you begin to wonder, was there a transfer fee from the club where it was unveiled to FC Musa?
because this is a guy that has moved within at the start of the season. He was with Power Dynamo, then he was loaned out to Ghana. He never kicked a ball at Ghana Football Club, and then the next thing we see him is being unveiled at Kongola Plates. He even was the jersey Kongola Plates, and then a couple of days later he's with FC Moz. I think someone has to explain what happened with this Piston Banda deal.
The second game, Augusti, Ngwazi hosting Green Buffaloes.
It's going to be a big encounter because you do realize every time when Ngwazi and GBFC square off, it always produces fireworks. Remember when we saw your favorite goalkeeper Kasongo made some schoolboy errors at Sunset Stadium when these two teams made last season. I think it's going to be a good encounter. Ngwazi Football Club, they unveiled their jersey, which looked like it was for Christmas tournament.
But how did you do that?
Looked like it was basically for Christmas tournament. I was surprised. I think my focus was just
the socks with 2 stripes.
my focus would be about the sponsorship. That jersey was very poor. Looking at the standards of Zambian football, the standards that we've said, I think we shouldn't be getting to those standards.
But how do you launch a jersey
in the middle?
I think it's common in Zambian football.
This has to stop.
It's common in Zambian football.
It's dependent on the sponsorship deal that you have.
Okay.
Because like for Ghana, it also came after a couple of games that we've played this season. It came, I think, midway the first half, and here is the Ngwazi Football Club, and
almost all the teams,
make insurance.
Daros, it came halfway through the season. Halfway through the season.
These guys, this
some
season,
teams,
10 bet and what?
It's a 10 bet. It's off the night
in the middle of the season.
Yes. So you could see that it's common in Zambian football. Some teams are using jerseys from last season, and we don't want to name them, but they're big buses. But they're using jerseys.
You've named them already.
So you can move on. Green Buffaloes probably Friday Sam may make his return this afternoon against Ngwazi, and he will bring something to them. They've been lacking in terms of goals. There's been a lot of pressure on the young Golden Mashata to try and deliver for this GBFC team. Remember a couple of weeks ago during the transfer window, George Ngoma was rumored. There was interest from Zanaco. That deal didn't materialize. They've managed to hold George Ngoma, and he's going to probably be one of those players that will lead the Lions against FC Ngwazi. It's interesting to see how Ngwazi play from now going forward.
In the new kit.
Without
ways for me really. Of course, it's not something that we need to be dwelling on. But I think a deal with 1 million kwacha for 3 years in football is nothing.
Nothing.
They should have negotiated a better deal. That 1 million kwacha should have been for 1 season, not 3 years.
3 seasons, yeah.
3 seasons is too much. And for me, in these deals, you cannot commit to one sponsor for 3 years. It has to be a renewable contract. Probably do it 2 years or 1 year, because there are better sponsors that might want to come on board, and then
they have to wait for that.
Better offers. Yeah. Better offers. So it's by and large for me, it was a very poor administrative decision that was made.
On the line?
Going to call on the line. Hello. Hello. Oh, we've lost that caller.
So it will be an interesting game this afternoon, and I'm only hoping that Makinka is also trying to stamp his authority over the team, trying to get confirmation from the powers that be that is given the main job after the departure of one Uswati Mtapa. So we are yet to see what is likely to happen in that particular game this afternoon. But I think the policemen, the agility of their players is what is going to cause problems for GBFC.
Hello.
Hello.
Yellow. Good morning.
Hello.
Yellow. Good morning. It sounds as if it's Elijah hunting to make a contribution on the show. And we've got FC Moza who will be hosting Ghana, and we spoke of some of the signings that Ghana did and made, and this will be maybe a curtain laser for those players that we are signed to prove the point, to say, okay, we are here to help Ghana fight relegation.
Ghana Football Club, I think they started very badly last season, in the first half of the season, and then they got rid of Beson Chambeshozi after 3 games. Then they brought in Ian Bakara, and then they quickly realized the problem wasn't the coach, it was the mature that was in front of him. But I think credit must be given to Ian Bakara and his technical staff to try and keep Ghana believing, because they didn't have quality. but they've managed to try and be where they are, and they've lost Rambo, David Kawala. He's moved to Europe.
Good.
He's moved to Switzerland. He's moved to Switzerland. He'll be playing against Miguel Chaiwa in Swiss League in the second tier. So you could see that Ghana were lacking in front of goal. The top scorer is Harrison Sara, central midfielder, and most of these goals probably have been penalties. And they needed to do something in the transfer market, and they did just that. You could see that Ian Bagala has gone to his former club, got players that he's worked with. Chitoshinga is one of them. Renan Tumuma was at Power Dynamos. He's now crossed the road to Ghana Football Club. He brings something different, because you remember that time when Forest Rangers were chasing for that league title, he was very, very instrumental. He's one of those players that can play in half spaces and make things happen. This is what Ghana need, because there was a lot of pressure on young Harrison Sara to create and score goals. But now the responsibility will be shared between other teammates. Austin Banda is coming in with a lot of creativity. Set piece is one of his specialty, and Horapson's favorite players also moved. Lyson Tole, he moved to Kansashi Dynamos. He's moved to Kansashi Dynamos. So you can see that there's been some changes in Ghana. They've shaped.
We have sealed the leakages.
Yeah, they've sealed the leakages. That's one thing for sure. They've worked in areas where they were very, very poor. Idris Mbombo comes on top of the tree. He's going to give them goals, and he's going to ensure this Ghana team survives relegation. He starts this afternoon at Mazabuka. Musa have lost 2 games there already. Last season, only Kansashi Dynamos went to Mazabuka and got maximum 3 points. But this time around, Zesco have beaten them 3-1. Red Arrows have beaten them 4-1. So you could see that Musa.
Continue.
Ghana are going to.
Yeah.
I'm probably going to get something out of there. But again,
something.
The pressure is you have to contain Andrew Piri. He's very, very lethal, and he will be eyeing that golden boot, because Michel Freddy has moved to Simba with 14 goals. Andrew Piri is sitting, on 9-10 goals. Ricky Banda is behind him with 8 goals. So it's going to be an interesting race for the golden boot between Ricky Banda and Andrew Piri.
Who are you giving it?
Ghana.
No, he said they might pick up something.
Draw. I'll go for a draw.
This game is not in Charleston. Augustine, this game is not in Charleston.
Yes, it's in
You see, the coming in of Idris Irungambombo is sufficient for you to say a narrow victory from Ghana. 1-0 to Ghana.
You've given it to Ghana.
1-0 to Ghana.
We've got Forest Rangers who will be hosting Mutondo Stars and Kongola Blades hosting Zesco United.
Mutondo Stars versus Forest, interesting encounter. Mutondo started very, very well, and probably got themselves away from trouble, away from Ghana, away from NAMSA Stars in safe land. But now they've been dropping points a few years ago, and realistically Ghana targeting these small boys, try and drag them back into that danger zone, and probably survive relegation. But going to play this Forest Rangers team under Munyashlepo, it hasn't really started producing those results that you expected when him and is it Machi Janza moved to Forest and took over. But you could see they've made a couple of interesting signings. I think one is Clement Mulenga from Kawa Warriors. That's a big coup. They've brought in Clement. He's going to bring them the solidity in central midfield. This is the box-to-box kind of midfielder. They need that energy. Forest Rangers alongside Jack Chilo in central midfield, and the intelligent Mandewale, very, very intelligent footballer. Mandewale, I should watch him on Forest Rangers. He's very, very sharp. His passing, I think, is accurate. But the biggest blow is that they've lost Luambo Moela. He's moved to La Montevideo Golden Arrows in South Africa. How do you replace the 11 goals he scored last season? That's going to be a big ask. I think the players like Eric Chomba and Quadricola, they need to step up and start scoring goals for Forest Rangers.
Kongola Blaze hosting Zesco United.
Well, Beston Chambeshi has proven to be a very, very difficult man to beat, and we have seen how Kongola Blades have stabilized after the arrival of Beston Chambeshi in Chirilabombwe, and they are playing most to a very, very formidable Zesco United. And if you've seen how they've been playing their cards right in the transfer market, they are probably targeting continental football without a doubt, because when you look at the players that they brought in, I think one of my favorite players that has moved to Zesco is Mpo. a South African lad who played a couple of seasons for Forest Rangers. He's moved to Zesco United, and see where they had stopped before the break. Abraham Siankombo was on fire. He was on a very, very big trajectory. Of course, they've lost Kelvin Kampamba, he's left, and I think they have got enough material to destroy Kongola Blades this afternoon. And if you ask me, the stubbornness of Kongola Blades under Beston Chambeshi might be a very, very big stumbling block for Zesco United to get maximum points, in as much as they want to stamp their authority on the game. But I think we shouldn't undermine the work that Beston Chambeshi has done to the unknown Kongola Blades players that are going to feature this afternoon. And for me, I think if Zesco United emerges victorious, then without a doubt, their momentum which they ended with in the first round of the season will just be a very, very positive start, and probably they will proceed and just go and win it at the end. And so for me, I go for Kongola Blades might just get a point out of that game.
The strength and depth that you've talked about with Zesco United, does it add that Nigerian guy?
Let's hello. Hello.
They are through to off the pitch.
Hello. I think we've lost that caller.
Line is poor. So I think the Nigerian guy.
What is it? What business was done there?
I think I wrote something which Wami Katanga wrote because even he himself didn't have enough information at first. Zesco didn't give us enough information where this guy was coming from. And then if you look at his track record, he was at Prison Leopards. I never heard of Samuel at Prison Leopards. It didn't work out for him. He went to Malawi and then he played in Nigeria. Is it lower?
Is he a basketballer?
We're here to see what he brings to the table, but I think that's not the most clever business by Zesco United. They went and got another Madalas from Kansanshi, Jesse Jackson Way. What does Jesse Jackson Way bring to this Zesco United team? I think it's high time now that they trust the young Enoch Sakala to lead the line for Zesco United. Let him be your main man. You've brought in a lot of these players, Oduru, Vincent Oduru. They've brought in, it hasn't worked for those players that they've been bringing in. Is it Lala Kanda again, another flop who looks like he just scored against Natasas on the opening day of the weekend? So you could see that brought in a lot of strikers that have been struggling as this connected. But you have always had this boy that has come through your ranks in Enoch Sakala Jr. It's high time they just give him that responsibility and confidence and tell him to lead this team. And like Mr. Skoma said, it's very, very tricky in Chindawombo.
Maximum points for Kongola Blades, and Grabson has already given that.
Not maximum. They might get at least one.
At least one.
I gave it to Kongola Blades 1-0.
Yeah.
My team of Olila Wanderers hosting Zanaco and Prison Leopards hosting Kansanshi. Dynamos got Trident FC that will be hosting Red Arrows. We'll start with the Red Arrows student game and corruption.
Which venue are they using?
It's in the same stadium. Yeah. But the stadium is so different. I think if you look at the time when those
for how long have we closed that stadium?
Those works when they started, is it 2 years?
2 years.
Those works started, it looks worse. If I'm being honest, it looks worse from the time those works started at that particular.
It's like you just got a painter to go and paint those terraces, and then you say 300
money. How much money were we talking about?
$300,000. It's a lot of money. It's a lot of money.
Let's be honest. Let's be realistic.
Maybe there is something they are still doing which we haven't
what's
seen.
that? Because
on the other side, the camera was
when Kansanshi moved to that stadium, when they were in the Premier League, they started with renovating the dressing rooms, and the dressing rooms are top quality. One of the best dressing rooms that you find in the Zambian League. It was done by Kansanshi as a football club, and then now they've gone in with the FIFA grant. The stadium looks worse. It looks worse. I think I would love to see new images from the game they play.
No, I think it's a cameraman.
Let's wait and see what we see from this afternoon, because Red Arrows going to Trident. It's going to be one of those tricky games in the league, because you might just see Trident record their first victory, because like Corruption has said, this break could have done good or bad to a team. It depends on which side of the coin you're at. He could have done good to Trident and he could have done bad to Red Arrows, because they're in the momentum. And they were a team that had gone 6 games, only losing 1 and winning 5. They wouldn't have loved to go on a break, but look at on the other side, Trident, they've reinforced, they've cleaned their house. They will be a big threat. You do not know what to expect from them. Tricky game, I must say, in Solais.
Yeah, it is a very, very difficult hunting ground. We all know that because of distance. A lot of players get to have fatigue as they are going, and even the hostility of the fans. There's only one stadium in that area, and these guys have been studying football for the last 2 years. They've never watched a league match at this top level, and I think it will be very, very exciting to see how they respond. And I think this 1 month has been very good to teams that have been struggling. We saw them offload a couple of players. I think they offloaded about 6 players and they reinforced the team. And
was it 6 months there and out?
It's very, very tricky. Yeah, when you see this, but you see, I think the coaches, for once, the changes that were made during this transfer window, we'll see what happens this afternoon. But I don't see Red Arrows struggling there because these are players who joined the team. They had 4 weeks to prepare. Some of them were joining as late as 2 weeks ago. So for them to train together, to gel together and perform as a team is very, very tricky in the shortest time they have. And consistent Red Arrows for me will have an upper hand this afternoon at the Independence Stadium in Northwestern Province.
Prison Leopards hosting Kansanshi Dynamos.
Yeah, I think Prisons, they really need to start putting points on the board. The fact that they're in that dreaded relegation zone, they need to try and rectify that, and we'll have to look to David Obash to start getting them the goals and then seeing them climb up the table. Kansanshi Dynamos, they've made some changes over there around. They've lost a couple of important players at
like Sate
Kampamba.
Very important.
Is it one goal during his time in Kansanshi? So you could see that I think Scott Mwanza, who has moved from Kansanshi to Trident, I think that's going to be one big miss because he has been the guy between the sticks. But now it's a big chance for Gregory Sanjase to step up and be the main man at Kansanshi. And ever since Don Oyobe was given this appointment as interim, he's done very well for Kansanshi. He's managed to beat Red Arrows during that spell. So you could see that this is a guy that if probably will be given the job full time, he can just get it right. And Kansanshi, they need to start being ambitious. They need to start being realistic. What's Kansanshi all about? Are you going to be a team that's challenging? Are you going to be a mid-table team? Or you'll be always surviving relegation and you see that as a much needed as achievement come the end of the season. So they need to know where they stand as a team. They need to be progressing because what we are going to see is that they are going to be a Rumana Radiance. Remember, Rumana came into this league. They did well for, is it 2-3 seasons?
2 seasons.
But then they didn't keep progressing as a football club, and then they started being closer to that relegation zone until they were dragged in. Now they will be doing in out. We saw this with Nkwazi a couple of years ago. So you need to try and strike the balance. Your structure has to be clear. What direction do you want to take as a football club? Kansanshi will need to realize that sooner.
And perhaps tomorrow we'll have Green Eagles who will be hosting Power Dynamos.
Have they had?
I'm sure they have.
Oh, okay. It will be very, very interesting game. But sometimes, okay, Augustine, some of these discussions, Tapson Kaseva is at Green Eagles.
Yes.
Our very own Tapson
Kaseva. Weird transfers again. Within short space,
the guy has moved.
He's been Napsa, Bitcoin, Concola Plates, Green Eagles within, is it 2-3 seasons?
Yeah. But I think there's something that Alex and his colleagues have seen in him, and it's good to bring him back home. He's gone back home now. He's gone back home. He's been there. He's been there before. He's gone back, and we only hope that the atmosphere will be conducive for him in the team and probably contribute the much needed scores that Green Eagles are looking for. And that particular game, Coach Oswald Ntapa also wants to start on a very, very high note. He's a very, very top class coach, top notch coach, and this will be his first game in charge. He moved during the transfer window. He had a couple of training sessions with them. I think he's had enough time actually. They also have a new signing in Moses Piri. Very, very interesting to see how he begins his career at Power Dynamos. And I think for me, Power Dynamos is going to be they really push to try and challenge Zesco United for that top spot in the Premier League. And tomorrow's game for me, I think, okay, maybe because I have a soft spot for Oswald, I'm not saying. But I think it's going
but
to be
again, they're going into a place where it's no longer fortress in Choma. We have to be realistic. Now teams are going there and getting results. Musa went and scored 4 goals in Choma and got all 3 points. Also, Mutapa went there with his Ngwazi and got that late winner at Independence Stadium. Controversial one. Mutondo went there, got something. So it's no longer fortress. And then the biggest question with being just Zambian football as a whole, I think the recruitment side of things, I think it's a joke. We haven't improved in that regard. Mr. Skombe talked about Mamelodi Sundowns, how they had probably the biggest contribution in terms of one club at the Africa Cup of Nations. Why is it that they're doing that? Because the recruitment side of things is very, very important. You just don't recruit players, you recruit character, you recruit good behavior, you recruit just a normal human being that will come into your dressing room and then fit in. You look at Fedi Michel, scored 14 goals. You're replacing with Tapson Kasi. How many goals has he scored in the last 5 seasons? He doesn't even reach 5.
Some of the factors that go in this is, even the greediness of these people who manage these transfers. They like the sign-on fees. So they will get anyone with 2 legs and agree to say, we are signing you, sign-on fees so much. This is what
then they get something.
It's pathetic, I tell you.
Very much.
If we just go professional, we go for character, we go for talent, I think some of these players who are moving teams wouldn't
clubs. Because I think
wouldn't be moving.
You look at Green Eagles, the way Alex Namazawa has been under pressure. He went and he brought this guy, Freddy Michel. No one knew much about him. But he's coming and he's produced a good scoring 4 goals. It's not a joke. And everyone knew that it's going to be difficult for Green Eagles to hold on to this guy. You would have already started recruiting and scouting for a player who is going to come in and be a direct replacement for him. You cannot go and get Hando Woro, Tapson Kaseva, and then it's going to be
replacing a guy who's top class. A guy who has scored
for a guy who is below average. We have to be realistic. Tapson Kaseva was on top of this game a couple of years ago, not now. On the other side, Power Dynamos also had Mutapa. He needs to start strong at Power Dynamos because this is a club that doesn't give a lot of time. We have to be honest. We've seen the coaches that have gone there. Perry Mutapa was building something very good at Power Dynamos. He wasn't given enough chance. Moyash people, even after winning them the title, you could see that fines are very, very demanding at Power Dynamos. Moses Piri has gone in. It's going to be interesting. Does he play on the white? Because you already have Andy Boboa Boeri playing down the middle. Are you going to play them as 2 strikers? If you play them as 2 strikers, it gives a different direction because you lose something in central midfield. Power Dynamos are not the strongest team when it comes to defending individually, but as a group, they defend very well. They love to dominate the football. So if they go with 2 up top, meaning you lose the dominance, you sacrifice dominating games. So it's going to be very, very interesting to see how Oswald Mutaba gets the right balance with his power team. He's got his right-hand guy, physical trainer, Billy Mwanza, joining him at Power Dynamos. Very, very good move.
And due to time, Augustine, Angorabs on your final closing remarks.
Well, I think for me, a big congratulations to Rachel Kundananji for the move. It's a very, very good move. And the resilience of Patson Daka cannot go without being spoken about. I think the lad is a very, very disciplined guy. And we have seen how he has confused Enzo Maresca now, and it's a very, very difficult call for Enzo.
Yeah.
He's got all the 4 strikers this afternoon. We are yet to see the decision that he's going to make. And to the fans out there, I think it's time we are back in the stadium. Let's get to the nearest stadium and just support that local club. Please go and buy those tickets, watch the game. Let's support Zambian football.
Augustine.
Yeah, I think Bola Pazed is back. Mr. Skombe is heading to Edwin Mbwela Stadium, but I'm moving south. I'm going to Mazapuka. Ghana versus Muza, then progress tomorrow to Choma. Power versus Green Eagles. Another big tie. I think a big thanks to the entire production team for them making this possible, and a big thanks to all the viewers out there for tuning in. Like Mr. Skombe said, let's check to the nearest stadium. Let's support Bola Pazedi. You saw the hype at Africa Cup of Nations. Let that continue into our league.
Anyway,
that's your song for Ivory Coast.
they want to talk about that. And a big shout out to our fans and everyone who's been watching and supporting our show. And stay glued for Amazing Katamanda is coming on your screens with the weekly gospel show. For me, Amos, aka Amore, it's Baba. See you next week, same time, same place.